I thought about doing this recently. It's about my near-death experience, but it's really what I experienced. So what I'll do is I'll tell you what happened, also some type of perspective on the subject. So to start off, I was in a car and I was going through an intersection. I remember seeing a car coming my way and they were going at a fast rate of speed. I really don't remember the impact, but I was sideswiped. So my head went through the windshield. I didn't know it at the time. What I saw after looking at the car going towards me is, I know you've probably heard the story, everything turned white. In my experience, everything didn't turn white from like there was a sheet of white paper just to say, and everything turned white. Everything turned color. The colors faded away and nothing was in color anymore. So everything was white in color, kind of like a black and white TV, but a little bit brighter. I remember that very vividly. So after that had happened, I saw the white. What I remember what I was even wearing. I was wearing a blue button-up Dickies shirt because I used to dress like a cholo at the time. And it had khakis on too, so it was like a Dickies suit. And I remember, the next thing I remember from everything turning white is, I remember, like I said, being in the same clothing. I looked down at my clothing. I was on my knees. I was on the edge of a cliff. And at the bottom of the cliff, it was a very long distance from I was at the cliff to the bottom. What I saw at the bottom was a pit of lava running through at the bottom. And it was flat at the bottom. It was just caverns. You could see the stalactites and the stalagmites. So at the bottom, I seen a bunch of demons, and that will be another good story for the future too, because I'm also going to do stories about the paranormal, and I have a few weird, and that's the next one I'll do, since it involves a demon and he visited me on my bed. So that will be a good story. I'll just leave it at that. So what I saw at the bottom is demons with humans covering the bottom, and they were being tortured, and you could hear the screams. I seen that, and I don't even necessarily, I remember, it's weird, I used to remember what they were doing. I just remember the humans laying down and screaming, and they couldn't do nothing, and the demons were torturing them. But I don't remember specifically what they were doing to torture them. And I saw that. I was scared. All of a sudden I heard a voice, and it said, "This is where you're gonna be forever." I looked to my left, and there was a huge, what I perceived as a demon or the devil. It might have been I just don't know specifically. So what he looked like, he was real muscular. He was huge. He was as tall as the ceiling. I remember his skin being wet leather black. It was just shiny, like oil almost. You could see his veins. When I looked up, his mouth was kind of twisted. His teeth were jagged, and they weren't uniform. They were just everywhere, but they were covering his mouth. I remember he had weird yellow eyes. He had curly horns from either side of his head. He also had wings that I could see that were very tattered, but they were still the same color he was, that kind of oily texture. It was strange. So what I remember doing is saying to myself, just looking down and saying that I don't want to be here. God, please save me. And the next thing I knew, I was in the ambulance and they were trying to resuscitate me. So I woke up. That's how I woke up. They put me in, the only thing I remember, they put me in the neck brace and they took me to the hospital. So it's very, very strange, very vivid. It's just hard to explain. It's just what I experienced. But just that, me asking God to bring me back. It was, and I immediately came back. I just, during that time where I was definitely dead. Just to give you another story, and it has to do along the same lines. Excuse me. I had a dream that I was in some type of motel or apartment. It felt like an apartment. For some reason, there was rubble all around me. There was a box TV with a stand, like one of those carded stands. It was a old box TV and it was on. It was weird. I remember sitting there on the bed and I had the same tattoos, so I looked down at my arms. And I always do that for some reason, or seem to remember it. I looked at the doorway and there was Jesus. I know it might sound kind of weird or comical, but I remember either opening the door or he was there. But it was weird because I remember a hallway where I was at, but there wasn't. I don't know. I just remember stepping outside, and in my dreams, I dreamed that the sky is always black. It's really strange. Everything is bright and vivid, but the sky is always black. And this is one of only 2 times, and I'll give you another story. It's a good story about a dream that I had. I'll do that coming up soon. So I saw Jesus and he wanted me to walk with him. I remember him he had olive skin tone. He had wavy brown hair, and I just remember him being really clean and beautiful. He had a white robe, a red sash around his left shoulder. He had sandals. That's the only way I could describe him, is he was really beautiful. He wanted me to walk down the street with him, and as we're walking down the street, I noticed that the clouds, like the weather was turning, there was a storm brewing. So there were people coming outside, and I got the sense that it was like the end of the world. So we were walking down the street and people were coming outside, and the people coming outside, they were looking down the street and saying that the demons were going to fight the lizard people. And we looked up ahead and there was lizard people coming out of a cave, and the demons up ahead. That's what I forgot to mention. There was a cemetery and it had iron gates. So the demons were already in the cemetery. So the lizard people it was weird. They were kind of like jittery and really fast. And they went to go meet with the demons to fight in a battle. They had swords, and I had this dream years ago. So we were walking down the street and he looked at me, Jesus looked at me, and he said that it's not too late to change. So I woke up after that, and I just wanted to give an additional story with my dream that coincides with the near-death experience on the same page. And you think I would be a devout religious person with those experiences, and I think where everything went bad for me, or soured me, I should say, is dealing with ultra-religious people. I've had terrible dealings and been the worst people I've ever met, quite honestly. So, and I shouldn't let that be a big factor, because I've also met good people, but I've always let that outweigh everything. And that doesn't mean that I don't believe in God. I absolutely 100% do. I believe in God and Jesus. Those are my beliefs. So I didn't want to leave on any type of negativity. I'd like to leave on a high note. I wasn't trying to insult anyone by talking about my experience with religious people. I wasn't trying to insult anyone, so excuse me by any means. So what I'd like to say is that you should use your personal experience in day-to-day life. Anyone who needs any type of encouragement, especially your kids, if they could learn from you, because I know that's how my daughter is that she does her own thing and then she comes back to me and says, well, Dad, you're right. Just some people got to go through stuff to learn. But I could tell you from experiences that the last time I was in jail, I've been in jail a few times, everyone goes through things. So I was in the tank. They processed me and took my pictures and everything. I was in the tank. I was talking to this younger guy. He had to be in his early 20s. And he was talking about he had a new baby and his girlfriend, and he was going to be in there 18 months. That's a long time when you're young. So I was telling him, what are you doing this for? You're going to miss all this time, and you could have had it with your kid and could have been making money or helping out your family. Instead that you're in here, and you got to think about it too in the future. If you guys don't work out, this can be used against you. You got to always going to be on an upbeat path for success in life. And I was just telling him things like that. And just by chance, you never know that I was put in that situation. And I was sitting there that in the tank, and I didn't have any bail. It was cash only. So I didn't know at the time that I was going to get out of there. And that's what I was telling him. And you never know how it will affect someone's life. I'm just using that to say you never know how it will affect someone's life or what you'll do or where you'll be at. Any type of experience could help someone. So that's how I take it. And maybe that's coincides with my dream, is that, like what Jesus said in my dream, that it's not too late. Maybe I had a different path, or I could be helping people with this message, and that's what I should be doing. That's my main objective of making this video, is to help someone out to avoid this path that will lead you to this. If I could do that by making this video, that'd be amazing to me. So I just want to leave it with any type of negativity. Coming up next is I'll do a paranormal story. I want to do some of my dreams too. So that will come out pretty soon as one of the paranormal stories. I want to do one with my friend that passed, rest in peace, Jess. That's a really good story. And also one of my dreams, which I spoke of, about a demon that came to my room. What I still don't know to this day if it was real or not, but that's a really good story too. So I want to land it more. You know what it is. It's the mob. Salute.